On Thursday night, the Gratton Cup Series field returned to action at the Daytona International Speedway. It is the first time that our drivers and teams have got their cars out on the racetrack for the 7th season of the Gratton Cup Series. Tonight, the real action begins. No more fun and games, this is single car qualifying, and by the end of the night we will know who will start on the front row for the Daytona 500. We'll also know two of the go-homers that will qualify their way into the Daytona 500. This is Daytona 500 single car qualifying. It's going to be a long one. We're looking forward to having your company here from the Daytona International Speedway. Hello everyone and welcome to the Daytona International Speedway, Daytona Beach, Florida for single car qualifying here for the 7th season of the Gratton Cup Series. Great to have your company. My name's Stuart Gratton and we're going to have potentially a rotating cast of characters here in the booth tonight. We've got two new voices in the booth to start off with. A man who has won 2 Daytona 500s as a driver. He won the second one in Season 3 as an owner driver. And of course, he was the team's champion from last year, Tyson Gifford. And then we got one of the owners of one of the new teams on the grid with Imperial Motorsports, Trajan Hawk, to join us here to start off with. So different ends of the spectrum. Tyson, you've obviously won the Daytona 500 before, as we mentioned a couple times. Great to have you in the booth. Looking forward to this. Trajan, great to have you on board as well. What do you hope to see tonight from single car qualifying?
Well, thank you for having me in the booth. And Trajan, I'm sorry I cut you off, but you go right ahead,
No,
man. I
that's
mean, you're
fine.
all right. Well,
Okay.
I've done this a time or two. As Stuart, you graciously mentioned, this single car qualifying here it's really imperative that you kind of just get a good launch off of pit road, and once you get going, you're kind of just wide open, ripping the top on that outlap, and then the second you come off of turn 4, dive it down to the bottom and hope you wrap that yellow line to kingdom come. Really, it's all about, I mean, if you unload fast, then you're obviously wanting to start and qualify up front, especially if you're one of those go or go home drivers. But if you're one of these guys like an Alexander Rowe or a Henry Guo, obviously I'm naming some of my drivers here, but like an Eli Bright, Max Davis, some of these guys, I think you're going to be looking towards more of a race pace sort of feel, seeing how your car can get up through the gears. So this single car qualifying, I think, will be a little bit interesting just to see how these go or go homers that'll be later on in tonight will fare out and shake out as the more experienced guys are going to be going up first.
Yeah, I just want to agree with you, Tyson. I mean, yeah, this is going to be interesting. I feel like qualifying, especially at tracks like Daytona, like super speedways, are pretty interesting because it takes out a core piece of super speedways, like how they function, because like you can't draft with other cars. So it will definitely be interesting to see who comes out on top today.
Indeed, it's not really like the practice session's hardly relevant in the grand scheme of things, given that it is, you are the only car on track, you got no one to draft it off of. So what we saw in practice rather, in terms of the results, may end up not playing out to be the case here in this session. So let's quickly run through how this is going to work. So we've got 50 drivers, of course, so it's going to be a longer session than it was last year. And it should also be said, the pole time last year was a 47.001. That's not going to be the case this year. I can guarantee you that. It's going to be a bit slower, maybe a second or so, maybe even 2 potentially. And what we've got here, it's going to be a 5-minute window. Every driver will complete a lap. It's just the first lap. There is no second lap. It's just the first lap. So you've got to make the most of that out lap and get yourself up to speed as quickly as possible. The fastest 2 drivers rather at the end of this session will start on the front row for the Daytona 500, and the fastest 2 go home drivers will be locked into the 500 and they will not have to worry about the duels. The other 16, we've got 18 go homers this year. The other 16 go homers will have to race their way in via the duels on Thursday. And that's going to be a very interesting session in its own right. And of course, this session determines the starting lineup for the Daytona. Well, not for the Daytona 500 itself, but for the dual races. in a couple of days. So here's Dominic Anthony. He's our first driver out here in this session. He was the fastest in practice too, but was only 8th quickest overall. And as I said last Thursday, very, very interesting the way this played out with groups 1 and 2. Group 1 ended up putting together the quickest time. So Matthew Hubert put together the quickest time by 2/10 in comparison over Dominic Anthony. But the bottom of Group 1 was almost 4/10 slower than the bottom of Group 2, rather. So it was a much tighter field spread in Group 2. But well, Tyson, you've got a lot of your cars out first. You've got 3 of them are going to be the first 5 out. So how are you feeling about seeing this 39? It looks great, obviously. What do you think you're going to get here from Dominic and see from his lap here?
Well, Dom's a seasoned veteran here, and I think honestly, Dom was pretty quick in practice. But I will say, Stuart, we did a lot of drafting practice, not only with our teammates but with other drivers in the field that we're kind of trying to see how we work with. Some of Logan Williams, some of those guys over there, they've been gracious enough to work with us throughout the past 2 practice sessions as he's going to pull off here. So I'm interested to see how we will go with our single lap qualifying with Dominic. But Dom's, you know, a very fast, very competitive driver. That number 39 has always been up front and at him for Gifford Technologies Incorporated. So looking to see how he does. I'm itching here, Stuart, man. I mean, I've been in the driver's seat for this is the first Daytona 500 that I haven't been in the driver's seat. It's interesting to have the headset on up here in the booth, but man, I'm just excited to get this season going and hope these Chevrolet Camaros are bad fast up front.
Indeed, you'll see the speed up on the top of your screen, and keep an eye on that throughout the session. And of course, once we get to the end of the lap, you'll see the time that Dominic Anthony can put together as he gets it underway here at Daytona. The first ever pole sitter. So Tyson, you won that first ever Daytona 500. Dominic started on the pole, of course. And as I mentioned, the practice session will hold the record on his own for the most starts in Cup Series history once he starts in this Daytona 500. Of course, he's locked into the 500. He's got nothing to worry about. And 182 out of turn 2. So we'll see. As I said, I don't expect these times to be... they're going to be a bit slower than what we saw last year. And he carries 182 the entire way down the back. So conditions are, not very much wind going on here at Daytona. Only 4 miles an hour northeasterly. As Anthony out of turn 4, 184. We'll see how he holds. 185 going into the tri-oval here as he completes his lap, a 49.082. So that is 2 seconds slower than what we saw in from Leonard Koshma in qualifying last year when he won the pole. So see how that holds up for Dominic Anthony and the number 39. Next car out here is the man who finished second in the championship last year, Henry Gore, who was the fastest practice actually last year. Wasn't quite so quick this year. But here he is in the number 71 and had a great year. Very consistent, probably more than anything else. Just fell short in the championship, Tyson.
Yeah, and Henry's a well-established contender. I mean, all of our guys are really. We have Jerry jumping into the 7 car as a rookie. But all of our guys are veterans, not only in the series, but also across racing as its own. So Henry has always been super consistent in all the racing disciplines that he's been a part of, and I'm not shocked. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get the title, but I mean, with all of our guys, I think we'll be able to get one spot better in the driver's standings and hopefully go 1, 2, 3, 4, knock on wood, with guys up at the top of standings. Obviously, I'm sure other people have a lot to say about that, but Henry going through turns 1 and 2 on his first lap, carrying 183 here, Stuart. I think he's looking a little stronger than Dominic did.
It certainly is. He carried 183, so this already, you can tell that this is probably going to end up being the quickest time of 2 drivers, granted. So plenty to play out, but it is a very good start here for the 71. Just tip back to 182 heading into turn 3, but Dominic Anthony had a 181 going into turn 3. So this will be the fastest time for Henrik Waugh. How much quicker is what we've got to figure out. 185, 186 to the line, and it is a 48.908. So that will be about a little over a tenth and a half quicker than what Dominic Anthony put together. So Henrik Waugh to the top of the board here at Daytona. Third car out here in single car qualifying was the fastest driver in practice and the man who led the most laps in last season's Daytona 500, Matthew Hubert. We've had a great season, finished 10th in the points, didn't quite win Rookie of the Year as I mentioned, he finished second in that to Max Davis. But Hubert has always been a very high quality driver, regardless of the series that he races in. So he's back with Hairgel Motorsports for a second season, and Trajan, what do you think you're going to see from this guy? Because he was the fastest in practice. We talked about practice doesn't always line up here with single car qualifying, but what you're going to see here from the number 8.
Yeah, but man, I mean, he's fast. He looked really good during practice, and as we all know, he's pretty good at Daytona. And well, it's super speedways. I mean, you never know what you're gonna get. It's always a crapshoot, but I think Matthew Hubert's definitely gonna be one to watch out for come the 500.
Sorry to cut you off. He's just got to 184, so this is a very good start here for Hubert down the back. This car, as I said, was very fast last year in the fire. All the Hairgel cars were super here at Daytona. They all finished inside the top 10 in the 500. Hubert, of course, led the most laps and finished third. Rounds turn 4. This 185. This is going to be interesting. We'll see how close he is. I reckon he might pit Waugh here. He does, and that's a great time too. 48.751, so about a tenth and a half quicker than the number 71. So Matthew Hubert carrying that pace over from practice. He's on top of the board right now through 3.
Tell you, Stuart, we probably should have cut qualifying after those first 2. I really don't like the next group of people coming up, especially with my guys not being 1-2 anymore. But here is our champion from last season, Nathan Smith. I'll let you guys take it away.
Indeed, Nathan Smith in the car that won the championship last year. Had a tough year as a driver for Seminole Motors, but did get a top 5 at Chicagoland. That was the high point of the season, but he joins a team that he knows Isaac Nichols very, very well. Team owners in the teammates rather, in the Wawa Cup Series. And here he's getting an opportunity in the car that won the championship last year, Trajan. It's a great opportunity for Nathan. What do you think you're going to see on this lap?
I think, well, it's going to be hard to beat. It's going to be hard to beat the time that was just set, but I think Smith is going to definitely give him a run for his money.
Indeed, and look at that. He is ripping this car through the middle. 185 now, tips back down to 184 a little bit, but 185 out of the corner. So how about Nathan Smith here in this 48? This is a very impressive start to the lap. It's all about...
He's going very fast.
He's going very, very fast. So, as I said earlier, the times are a lot slower than last year, so this is going to be right up there. This probably, if I had to guess, will pip Matthew Hubert. He was 5th in practice too, so he was fast in race trim as well. As he comes down the line, 187, this surely goes to the top of the board, and it does. 48.443. That is 0.3 quicker than what Matthew Hubert just put down. Nathan Smith just, wow, that's a big statement here in early stages of qualifying. And here comes the number 51. Man who I think is probably going to be the championship favourite, I think, in the eyes of many this year, Alexander Rowe. Back for his 3rd season with Gifford Technologies Incorporated, 4th season in the series. It's easy to forget he won the Rookie of the Year in Season 4 with NS Racing, and then made the move across to Gifford Technologies Incorporated, has won the most races of any driver across the last 2 seasons. 10 wins, 5 in each of Seasons 5 and 6, 3rd in the points last year. You've got a good one here, Tyson. He has been a super driver over the last couple of seasons, and I know you're excited for what he could do here, not just in this session, but across the season.
Yeah, he's got a pretty heavy right foot, as we've seen. But I mean, Alex is definitely one of my favorite drivers that I've had over the years, and that's not even any bias. He's gotten me a lot of trophies, as we've seen, and we have a very strong core four drivers that we've got, especially bringing in Jerry. But I mean, Alexander Rowe is easily the guy to beat, I would have to say, in the series. Not only from our team, which I think we're the team to beat, but the driver itself. Just remove everybody. This 51 has been really good, especially with Rowe behind the wheel. And just circumstances have taken him out of a few races that have really hurt him in the points. So I'm hoping he learns a little bit from Henry, gets some consistency down, and hitting 185, 186, maybe 185 at the line. That's a 49.009. Where's that going to slot him?
That puts him fourth quickest, so puts him ahead of Dominic Anthony, but it's going to be, well, about half a second off of the time that Nathan Smith just laid down. What a lap from Smith. A big statement early on.
I know, right?
Yeah, big statement. So
Yeah.
Alexander Rowe, we'll see how he goes in the duels and then the 500, of course. Next up here, another driver that has won 10 races on the channel. Not on the channel specifically, but in this series, he's won more. I reckon he's won at least 11 races on the channel. This is Jake Rogers, who is one of the best in the series as well. But interestingly, did not win a race last year for the first time in his Cup Series career. He did finish second on 4 occasions last year. So he's certainly close to winning, he just couldn't put it together. But this guy is one of the best Trajan. He is 10 race wins, one of the best in the business. He's moved to the number 2 this year instead of the number 40 that he ran last year, back with PRM for a second season. And these guys are always fast here at Daytona PRM.
Yeah, I mean, as you were saying, Jake Rogers, great guy, out racing. I think last year was a little bit of a down season, but he looked pretty strong during practice. We'll see how it translates over to qualifying. But yeah, I think he's gonna do well.
It's a
And
decent
let's see
start.
what time he gets.
Yeah, decent start. 183 at the moment, heading down the back, and
not hitting the speeds that Smith, Hubert, and Guell were getting, but still going to be a fast lap.
of course, we've still got, I mean, look, it's still very early days, so a lot can happen, a lot could change. He's 185, come down to 186 now as he crosses the line. This will be close-ish. Yeah, it goes third quickest. So 48.878, and his third quickest, so he slots in between Hubert and Gore. So decent lap time. We'll see where that stands up. But he's almost, well, he is 4/10 behind Nathan Smith. The first of 4 NS racing cars tonight is not who I actually anticipated when we did the composite scores. It's Gerald Oren here in the 99 with the Amsor colouring looking a bit different this year. But back in this car, what a year he had last year. Didn't get a race win, but easily his best season in the Cup Series. 8th in the points. Finished second in the finale at Homestead and also Nashville. So he's certainly close to winning. He just, again, couldn't quite put it all together in the end. But this 99, over 100 starts now as a driver. This is his 6th attempt in the 500. He missed seasons 3 and 4, but hope you have a bit of luck. He hasn't actually run well here in this race at Daytona, but we'll see. These NS racing cars, they've won the last 2 Daytona 500s with Bright and Crampton. Let's see how Oren does here on his lap, Tyson.
Yeah, Oren's been honestly one of the fiercest competitors in the series throughout my time. Definitely have enjoyed trading paint with him over the last few years, and over 100 starts is no small feat. I just can't believe that he hasn't had the luck here at Daytona. He's been very strong other places, and I think he's even had a few great runs at Talladega and other plate tracks. It's just there's something about Daytona. There's something about that Harley J. Earl Trophy for the Gratton Cup Series that just seems to elude this 99 car. but he's picking up speed coming out of turns 3 and 4. I think he's going to have a quicker time. I mean, he's probably going to have a quicker time than some of my GTI guys. 186 across the line. That should be pretty solid. I think that's going to put him in the top half of the field so far.
Yep, moves him up to third. So he moves ahead of Rogers, but behind Hubert. So that's a decent lap in the end for Jared Oren. But again, still a long ways back off the 48. But we'll see where he slots in by the end of the night. Car number 13, unlucky for some, I guess. Max Davis moves across, and a little bit of irony in this, and I mentioned in the practice session. Davis drove for 7 Motors last year in the number 6. Won at Chicagoland, had a very good year, finished 12th in points, won the Rookie of the Year. He follows in the footsteps of Noah Clifton, who at Seminole Motors in the 6, won at Charlotte, won the Rookie of the Year, and then moved to Nicotech the following season in the number 13. So a bit of irony in that, but we'll see how this 13 goes here in this session. We're only 7 cars in. Nathan Smith is his teammate, of course, and he's put together the fastest lap so far. So we'll see what Davis can do in this car. Trajan, if what Nathan Smith put together, this could well be a very fast lap.
Yeah, Stuart, I mean, I think so too. Nicotech has shown promise, especially this early on, long night, but with that Nathan Smith put together, it's going to be pretty hard to beat. So, I mean, Max Davis so far has built up a good bit of speed, 185 down the backstretch. So, definitely going to be in the top half.
Yeah, this will be right up there, you'd imagine, with that 48 time, because 185 down the back, I reckon only Smith has done that here in this session. Off to a good start here, Nicotech. 186 out the corner, 187.
187.
Yeah, let's see. 188. This will be up there. It's pole for Max Davis, 48.363. He jumps his teammate Nathan Smith by nearly a tenth of a second. Great lap from Davis. He goes to the top of the board here at Daytona. Another NS Racing Ford is up next. Benny Watson is attempting his 6th Daytona 500. He is raced in every season. He did not attempt the Season 3 Daytona 500 because he was the owner of NS Racing at the time. He swapped with Nathan Stapleton for that season. He didn't attempt the 500, and so he ran a part-time schedule that year. But what a year it was for Watson. 5 wins, joint most in the series with Alexander Rowe. But like Rowe, had a lot of misfortune, and he actually finished 6th in the points. He finished 2nd in the championship in Season 5. Took him 124 races to get that first win, but he's been on a tear since. But I'll tell you who has been on a tear. Nicotech, off to a great start here in this session. Jared Oren put in the 4th quickest time before. Let's see what Benny Watson can do. Tyson, let's see how he goes.
It seemed like he had a pretty good outlap, and like you said, I think he's been honestly needs to go to the Henry Guo school of consistency, because he has just not found the consistency over the last few years. I feel like it's just one thing or the other. He gets the race wins and then falls apart in some other races, or he gets wickedly consistent, but just like you, I mean, 130 plus race winless streak to start his career. And once those wins started coming, they start coming in 2s, 3s, 4s. They start growing on trees like apples. But I think that now that he's got those race wins, he's gotten those first win shakes out of the way, I think this season could be pretty big for him as he's crossing the line at 186. This is going to be another top 5 presently qualifying time.
He jumps his teammate, so up to 4th for Benny Watson. So it's about a quarter of a tenth between Watson and Oren. So very similar lap times for the 2 NS Racing Fords so far. Yet another NS Racing Ford hits the track here at Daytona. A man who had a great year last year. Eli Bright, the Season 5 Daytona 500 winner. And what was his first start with the team at that point. It was his 91st career start, so it took him a while to get his first win. But again, last year, got 3 wins and finished 5th in the championship. He was the highest NS Racing driver in the points. So he had a very good season. This team had a great season. Won 10 races last year. Just a remarkable campaign that they had. Really took over as that predominant Ford team after DW Motorsports kind of fell away and are now shut down, which is a shame. But Nathan Stapleton finally gets his dream of having Powerade on a car here in this series, and on his car at least. And Trajan, this is a driver that has won the Daytona 500 before. We'll see how he goes, and those two NS Racing cars at the moment currently 4th and 5th on the timing.
Yeah, I think Eli Bright once again definitely. Well, past results show that he's a threat at Daytona. Well, practice isn't, as we've discussed, a tell-all sign. He did finish 49th in practice out of 50 total. So I mean, I think he's got something. He's got to prove that he can do well in this year's Daytona 500 in qualifying. But he was a little slow during practice. But let's see if he can prove that he's once again a threat to win a second 500.
Gets to 186 through the tri-oval, a 48.890. So he drops into the 7th position. So he's behind Jake Rogers. So not quite with his two teammates. Should also be said about Bright. He finished 49th in that practice session, but he didn't really have any help for much of it. So interesting time. We'll see how he goes in the 500. Well, here's a driver with a bit of a point to prove here at Daytona this year, because Ludovic Charette last year failed to qualify for the Daytona 500. So she is locked in this year. So she will be locked in. Doesn't have to worry about this, but actually qualified really well. Just unfortunately for her, Leonard Koshman and Logan Williams qualified on the front row. She was the 3rd highest go Oklahoma last year, and then didn't run well in the duels and missed the 500. Kind of set it back for the season. Finished 32nd in the points, but did get a top 5 at Pocono. And getting an opportunity now in a car that so far has looked really, really good straight out of the gates with Davis and Smith here in single car qualifying, Tyson.
Absolutely. And one of those things to get your season off on the right foot is to just have, not even to have just a good Daytona, just to have a Daytona gets your season off on the right foot, because you're really relying on those owner points for the first few races of the season before you start going into the races where you can qualify your way in. So, well, you are qualifying your way in, but you can lean back on the provisional. But now they're locked in for a broad majority of the races, including this race here at the Daytona 500. We've seen her have speed here last season, just a product of how the duels are, failed to make the show. I think you start this season off on the right foot, qualify up front here, not even qualify up front, qualify in the top half of the field. I think just having that extra boost of momentum instead of starting race 2 in the hole is really going to help them. Coming across the line, 187. Wow, that was a wicked lap. That's close to the pole. Top 3, I believe.
Yep, 3rd quickest. So not a front row for Ludovic Charette. She is the slowest of 3 Nicotech cars, and yet 2.5, let's say a quarter of a second faster than the next car, Matthew Hubert. So, wow, Nicotech have brought a serious program to Daytona so far. 3 cars, 1, 2, and 3. Still early stages here in qualifying, however. Here comes the Season 6 Daytona 500 champion, Travis Crampton, who on debut last year won this race. That remarkable finish right at the line, that photo finish, which Crampton barely edged out Henrik War for the win. And now Travis getting this second season with this team. I think he's going to take a big step up this year. Finished 16th in the points last year. Won 2 races, 2 handy racetracks to win, Daytona obviously, and then the first Darlington race. So 2 handy racetracks to win in your first season, Trajan. But this is a guy who's going to be we're going to be one to watch this year. And what we have seen so far has been a bit of a ways back of the Nicotech cars, but what do you expect to see here from our reigning Daytona 500 champion?
Well, I will say this, when it comes to defending any big event, whether it be a crown jewel race or a championship, it's hard to do because you got that pressure on you. But I think Crampton will definitely try his best. Qualifying only determines the running order, at the beginning of the race. The rest of it's strategy. So I think he'll definitely be in front come the 500. But that's not to say he won't do well in a qualifier as well. Got a lot of faith in him to do well.
Indeed. 182. Started 26th when he won the 500 last year. which I swear is like the average starting position for a Daytona 500 winner in this series. But anyway, 184 out the turn. So yeah, this won't be quicker than any of the Nicotech cars, but will it be quicker than Matthew Hubert is the question. 48.865. That goes 7th quickest. So splits Oren and Rogers. So 3 of the NS Racing cars line astern, and then the 4th one is, not that far back either. So very interesting to see the way qualifying's played out so far. Maybe Honda and Nicotech did bring that VTEC after all. Rogel Dawn in the 04 once again here for PRM. Different colours this year with BetMGM on the car to start the season. But Rogel had an interesting, again, he probably had a more consistent year in that he was consistently running top 15 or so. He finished 15th in the points, nearly won at Las Vegas, but finished second that day to Dawson Miller, who stole it within the last couple of laps. But this is a high quality driver. Champion in previous series in the GRL in 2025, prior to the Cup Series, and he certainly knows what he's doing. Let's see how he goes on this lap, Tyson. This is going to be a very interesting watch.
I think he's definitely, and you mentioned earlier some of the underrated drivers. This is my driver to watch to see who's going to make the jump from good to great this season, especially with the BetMGM colors on this car. I think if he's consistent, he could easily rattle off 1, 2, maybe even 3 or 4 wins, just depending on how the running order shakes out. This 04 car has shown speed in honestly years past, driver excluding. So I can't imagine that we're going to see another 15th to 20th place average finish season for this 04 car, as he's going to come around turns 3 and 4. Looks like he's got quite a bit of speed. I'm a little worried about my GTI guys. We're kind of looking at the last row lockout right now, but 187 across the stripe, 48.57. Pretty solid.
Very solid. That's within striking distance of the Nicotech cars. Goes 4th quickest. So that is a very good sign for Rogel Dawn. That is a very good lap. And currently in the 4th position. So he'll have his position starting lineup determined by the duels. But that is a promising sign for that team. Great lap. And the next car out here in single car qualifying, we've seen a lot of the same teams so far. We've got a different team. First Toyota on the track tonight is Caleb Rose. Winner at Watkins Glen last year. Bit of a road course ringer historically. And won the dual race here last year. So it's an interesting kind of history here, Caleb Rose, at Daytona and in the series. But back in this 32 for his second season. Great partnership between himself and Brennan Wilmington, the team owner. And these guys were very, very strong at the end of last year. This team in particular won 3 of the last 6 races. Braden Perez won 2 of the last 3. Rose won at Watkins Glen. And did quite well, I'd say, for a first-year team. Let's see how they go. It's going to be hard to beat those Nicotech cars, but it looks like a decent build-up here for the 32.
I would say if you're a betting man and you're sitting here, I would say the only power to beat Japanese power would be Japanese power. These Toyotas have been historically pretty good on these super speedways here, Stuart. And don't count out these newer teams. They seem to come out of the gate pretty strong. Daytona likes to favor these first and second year teams, especially Caleb Rose. Might be a road course guy, but I don't think road course guys are strangers to holding the pedal down.
No, indeed. That is absolutely true. It gets down to 182 there in the corner. Carried 184 down the back for a while. We'll see. I don't know if this is going to beat Rogel Dawn, but this is going to be... It's going to be interesting. Let's see how he goes. 186, he gets to 187 as he crosses the line now. Not quite. 48.760 for Caleb Rose. So that's going to put him around the mark with Hubert. I think Hubert's just got him covered. But the 32, that's a decent time. And we'll see where he shakes out at the end of the night. Here comes the second of 4 hairgel cars we'll see tonight. This is Eric Monaco in the number 52. Moves across from the now defunct Full Frontal Motorsports. And this 52, it'll be an interesting watch. These guys were, as I said last year, Hairgel Motorsports was super quick at Daytona. They had all 3 cars in the top 10 at the end of the race. Expanded to 4 this year. Monaco is locked into the 500, so he's got nothing to worry about in terms of having to qualify his way in or anything like that. But we'll see how he stacks up in comparison to his teammate Matthew Hubert. There haven't been too many cases, Tyson, so far where teammates have been dramatically split up. Only only Rogel Dawn and Jake Rogers for PRM, the only two drivers that have really been quite far apart so far. So we'll see where, if Monaco can keep up with Hubert, this will be a decent time. Let's see.
Absolutely. And Monaco was in probably not the greatest equipment last season, a pretty big upgrade for this second year driver. Hopefully, as you said, now locked into the Daytona 500, won't have to compete for the go or go home guys as much anymore this season. So, like I mentioned earlier, Daytona really sets the tone for how honestly your entire season is going to go. So hopefully he's able to at least get some speed down. And obviously, I mean, these guys have been qualifying right around each other with teammates. So if the trend stayed the same, this 52 car should have a pretty decent lap put together.
Indeed, let's see, 48.696. That's a good time for Eric Monaco. Moves into the 5th position, so he out-qualifies Hubert. Good lap there by the 52.
Absolutely.
Very good lap. So he'll
Really
take that,
good
I would
lap.
imagine. I imagine he'll take that, and we'll see where he stacks up at the end of the night. The first rookie on track for the night is Anthony McClure here in the 92. We got a lot of rookies in this field. We actually got less than last year, but still a lot. But McClure in the Pacific Racing car, we saw Caleb Rose before, currently 7th. And McClure ran a pretty good time late in late in Group 2, rather, to leap him up the leaderboard. He was running a lot of the time on his own in Group 2, but found a pack late, jumped up into the top 10 late in that session. And this will be, saying before, I think Jerry Chen's Rookie of the Year favourite. This guy will be pretty close as well if this car, the 92, is as fast as it was at the back end of the year with Braden Perez. So we'll see how McClure goes. He'll be the first rookie on track, and we'll see how he fares here in this lap.
Yeah, I spoke with him a lot during preseason testing, and he has a really good head on his shoulders. I think he's definitely going to be one to look out for. I think he could easily steal a couple of top 5s, maybe some top 10s, especially in this 92 car that has shown speed historically. So what I would say, if you're a rookie and you're hopping into a car, especially in the Gratton Cup Series, this is one of the best cars that you could hop into as a rookie. These guys are really good with their new drivers, making it easy to learn, easy to understand. Their crew chiefs, their spotters, their engineers. They do a really good job over there. And Anthony McClure coming around, I would say this relationship, not the quickest so far, but I think they're going to be looking pretty good throughout the season. It's going to be a learning curve, but I think that learning curve could curve up pretty quick.
Indeed. So he goes second to last here at the moment. So he goes 15th quickest with a 49.039. So he is locked into the 500. He's got nothing to worry about, and we'll see how he fares in the duels and then the 500. And here is one of the best in the business. One of the best the series has ever seen. Brandon Bent, a former Daytona 500 winner in Season 4, 2-time series champion, 10-time race winner. He's done a lot in his career, Brandon Bent. Never qualified on the pole for 500, so he'd love to do that. And given the way that Nicotech are 1, 2, and 3 at the moment, he's got a pretty good chance, you'd imagine, in this 27. Of course, he takes his 27 with him. 5 years at DW Motorsports. All those championships and race wins and all that I've already mentioned. But takes the 27 across to Nicotech. Replaces Keenan Raleigh in this car this year. And we'll see how he goes, because this car... these Nicotech cars have been so good straight away.
Absolutely. And this was one of the biggest moves of the offseason, was to see him switch over, especially going over to Nicotech. And I would have to say here, Stuart, it's quite early on to say, but I think if we do see a pretty good jump in performance from this Nicotech group, you could easily point it towards Brandon Bent. One of the smartest, one of the best, one of the easiest going drivers in the garage. But man, is he quick. And I mean, it is an honor to be able to even learn a little bit from the driver, the number 27. I mean, he's so good, he brings his number over with him. That's how you know he's one of those guys that you gotta look out for.
Indeed. This is gonna. I reckon this is gonna be the pole. This has looked really, really good. Can he get to 188? He does. This could well be pole position right here, and it is a 48.260. That's a 10th quicker than Davis. So Brandon Bent puts himself on the pole here at Daytona. He likes this track, and he will, at the moment, well, he's on top of the board. We'll see if anybody's able to knock him off his perch.
Oh, that pit box is going crazy down there. I can see it. They are absolutely loving it. These Nicotech guys are quick.
Here comes Will Parrish in, the number 43 for Fitzwater Australia Racing, who, for the first time, are not running Dodge. They've run Dodge for 4 years, moves across to Ford this year, and Parrish joins the team after a year spent at Grand Sport, Evans Ross Racing, after, of course, the switch mid-season. But Parrish, best finish of second in Indianapolis, and if there was an extra lap, he probably would have won that race too, because Eli Bright ran out of fuel on the cooldown lap. But here's a great opportunity here for the 43. He's locked into this race, so he's got nothing to worry about there. And we'll see what kind of time he can put together. Another one of these teams we haven't seen so far in this session, but we'll see how he goes in this shell car for this year. Sponsor change for these guys.
Absolutely. And I mean, when you think of Gratton Cup Series, you think of those premier teams, and Fitzwater Australia has definitely been one of those teams sitting there in the Dodges that you know and love, and them moving over to Ford is not something that I expected, but it's something that you kind of saw for a little bit, especially with the heavy Ford racing presence in Australia now. So Will Parrish in this 43, the first of that group to go out and qualify here at Daytona. That Shell Pennzoil livery, it looks pretty dang good. Not used to seeing that red, yellow, and white on the 43, but I mean, it's looking good, and it looks like they're going to be pretty quick. 186 might be tracking to 187, maybe eclipsing 188 at the stripe.
Whoa! Hello, Will Parrish. 48.459. He breaks up the Nicotech quartet. He goes 4th quickest. How about that for Will Parrish, the 43? That is a massive lap. They qualified so well here last year, this team, and they've got off to a great start. What a lap from Parrish. Third of the PRM Dodgers heading out on track. Kelly Lee in the number 21. This year, after spending the last couple of years with the 76, DW Motorsport shut down, so they said, yeah, you know what, we're going to take the 21. The 21's been one of those numbers that's synonymous with success here in the series. In terms of Kelly Lee, always runs well at Daytona. Has had 3 top 5 finishes in the 500. Second in Season 3, third in Season 2, and then 4th last year. And of course, won at Talladega last year, stole away on the last lap. So this is a car that has always been around the mark here at Daytona, Trajan. What do you think you're going to see? Rogel Dawn is currently 6th quickest. Can Lee go as quick as what we've seen from the 04?
Believe it or not, I don't think so. While Kelly Lee, as you've talked about, has shown some promise at super speedways, yet always, seemingly coming up short. I think Kelly Lee won't do terrible in qualifying, but I think Rogel Dawn will, by the end of the night, still be the top guy in Premier Racing in the qualifier.
183 as she heads off into turn 3, so this is not going to be on that same kind of level as what we saw from Parrish just a moment ago. Well, that's a crazy lap from Parrish. Impressive effort given the way Nicotech have started. 185, 186, 187 has been the mark coming through the tri-oval. 48.807. That is 1,000th off Benny Watson, so she goes 11th quickest. So just outside that top 10 for Kelly Lee, but has always found her way up front late in Daytona 500, so we'll see how she goes for the rest of Speed Weeks. Last year's Daytona 500 pole sitter is hitting the track, Leonard Koshman. Now, he's not going to go as fast as he did last year. That had a 47.001 last year. This year, the fastest time is well over a second behind as of right now. Brandon Bent on top of the board, but Leonard Koshman was really, for me, he was as impressive as anybody in practice. Ended up second quickest in Group 2. He and Roberto Crown were just drafting together pretty much the whole time, and Koshima put down the second quickest time in that session. Didn't have a great year though. 36th in the points last year. 7th at Coda was his best finish. He's only top 10. But he'd start on the pole here at Daytona, and there's a car to watch here, I'd imagine, for the Daytona 500. Decent start. 181, 183. Let's see how he goes. 184 off into 1 and 2. So it's not quite going to be on the same level, you'd imagine, Trajan, as what we've seen from some of the drivers before.
Yeah, I mean, really, before he came out, I was like, I didn't really think he would, live up to the heights he set last year, but I still think he could be potentially able to pick up his first win, seeing as this is his second season. He did well in qualifying last year at Daytona, so I feel like he's definitely set out this year. He's looking for that 500 win.
He splits the hair gel car, so he goes the 8th quickest overall with a 48.725. So he will not be starting on the pole this year, no question about that. But we'll see how he goes.
Still pretty good.
It's still pretty good. So we'll see how he goes by the end of the night. See where he ends up. Here comes Thomas Troxell in the number 62 in the third and final Pacific Racing car that we're going to see for the night. Bit of a mixed bag for those guys so far. Caleb Rowe still inside the top 10. Anthony McClure, unfortunately, second to last at the moment. Dominic Anthony is still last, which is quite remarkable. Not what I anticipated going into this session, but let's see how Troxell goes in the 62, who, again, had rookie struggles. Finished down in the points, finished 23rd, which actually wasn't too bad, I suppose. Nearly won at North Wilkesboro, but got it taken away by Brian Perez, his teammate. And here he is in this 62, hoping for bigger and better things this year. He comes around to start his flying lap. Trajan, 178, 179, and we'll see where he ends up. It's not a great start to his lap.
Well, I think rookie year for most drivers, it's finding their footing. Typically not the best. As we've talked about with, previous drivers, they've shown some promise, not really able to come through. But I think Troxell is a little bit different. I think Troxell has great potential, and what better way to kick off, a good season with a 500 win. He didn't do the best in practice, but practice half the time doesn't even correlate with qualifying. So he's getting decent speed. He's up to 185 as he crosses the line. Not as fast as most of the people in the top 10, but 500's a long race. Plenty of things can happen.
Indeed. So he goes to the 19th position. So he's right on par, basically, with Anthony McClure, his teammate. So a lot of work for the 62 and the 92 to go through, because they're a bit of a ways off at the moment, unfortunately. We'll see how they go in the duels and then the 500. Here is the fourth and final Gifford Technologies Incorporated car for the night. Had a tough session, you guys, Tyson. Real surprise for mine. Expected a little bit more, especially after the way he ran in practice. But, of course, setting up for race trim. Got big raps on this guy. This is Jerry Chen in the number 7. And he's going to be a very interesting watch this year as a rookie. And I think he is the favourite to win Rookie of the Year. I know I've said it before, but we'll see how he goes. He's had experience in these kind of, not this series, of course, but in other series. And he's a good fit for you guys at GTI this year, Tyson.
I'd say so, and bias aside, I've always been pretty solid companions with Jerry, seen him on and off the racetrack, and he's always just one of those guys that really just learns and intakes. He's always with the engineers. He's helping out the engineering team. When everybody else was going out, he was sitting at all the pit boxes with the headset on. He was trying to listen, trying to dial in, see what was going wrong, see what we were doing. So this driver, the number 7 car, I think he was a perfect next step for us in our organization. And honestly, Not been the greatest so far. Luckily, we don't have a last row lockout, but I mean, it's a long race and it's a long qualifying, and hopefully Jerry can find some speed, knock some rust off these GTI engines, and hopefully we can work our way to the front. And hey, if we're all starting in the back, then hopefully we can push the 7, who is a go or go home guy. Or no, he's a rookie. He's not go or go home, but hopefully we can push each other to the front. 186 at the line might be the fastest of our group so far.
He certainly is. He is by far and away the fastest. 48.690. He goes to 7th. That's a great lap there for Jerry Chen, showing up his teammates here in this session. Great lap for Jerry, and he'll be the highest of the qualifiers here tonight for Gifford Technologies Incorporated. New look for Evans Ross Racing this year. This is Duncan Ward in the number 93. He moves across from Team Velostar. Didn't have a great year, unfortunately, Duncan. Finished 25th in the points. Best finish of 3rd at Richmond. And he moves across to this team who, I think as the year went along, they hit their stride a bit with all the chaos. I mean, there was a fair bit of chaos that happened with this team last year, it'd be fair to say. But Duncan Ward, he doesn't hold back. He doesn't take any prisoners, the flying Scotsman. So we'll see how he goes here in this number 93 on this lap. And this will be a very interesting watch here for Evans Ross Racing. First time we've seen any of their cars out tonight, Trajan. We'll see how this 93 fares here in this lap.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how Evans Ross does this time around. This Duncan Ward's 2nd season. No wins last year, but let's see if he can turn it around. 500. What better way than to get your first win at the 500? Anything's possible.
Absolutely. 183 down the back. So this will be, it's not quite going to be up there, unfortunately, for Duncan, but he is locked in. He's got nothing to worry about in that regard. All these drives, we haven't quite got to the go homers yet, but we are getting close. Kyler Sustre will be the first one out, and he's only a couple of cars away. And that's when we're going to get to the real nitty-gritty and the real pointy end of this, as Duncan Ward comes out of turn 4. Through the tri-oval, gets to 186, and that's not, that's not too bad. 48.899, and that will slot him in to 18th. So it's actually on the lower end, but it's pretty tight in that group. Should be said, pretty tight across the board. So, well, outside of the top 5 or so, but Duncan Ward, we'll see how he goes in the Daytona 500. Third rookie of the night, we've seen Jerry Chen, we've seen Anthony McClure, and here comes Aris Yuko in the number 53 in a car that did pretty well in the 500 last year, driven by Christian Vargas. It finished inside the top 10, not a lot of laps. And it's a weird year for this team last year. They've rebranded to the 53 at Aris Yuko, getting this opportunity. Prevost colours once again for this team. And Tyson, you know Aris very, very well. What do you expect to see from this lap from the 53?
I think I've seen Aris quite a few times, and honestly, he's not only just a valuable competitor that I've seen across multiple racing disciples. I've had to shoo him away a little bit from our engineering stand when Jerry's been over there. They're quite good friends, always joking and laughing around with each other. But Yuko, he's a great odd track guy. So you'll see him up front at a Darlington. You'll see him up front at a Nashville, a Gateway. He's always really good at these technical ovals, I would like to say it. But pretty quick, especially quick for a rookie. And I would say he'd be a dark horse for this Rookie of the Year title. Could definitely get a top 5 and top 10 at some unexpected tracks. This 53 car, not the quickest so far, but we'll see how his turn 4 corner exit's going to be and see the launch down the front straightaway.
I don't know what happened there. It's like he just dropped a little bit of power for some reason down the back. He fell to 181. Oh, okay. Now this is going to get interesting. We've got a tie. 49.009. The tiebreaker. I hadn't even thought about a tiebreaker. I think Rowe will get the tiebreaker on owner points. So Yuko will slot in behind into 21st. Position as a result. So a bit of work for the 53 to do. And here we go. We're now approaching, well, after this car, we'll be halfway through this session. It's a long one, of course. But Kyler Sustre in car number 5 was the fastest. No, he wasn't the fastest. He was the second fastest go homer. But he is the first go homer out in this session. Davenport Performance will be running. Well, this is basically an unsponsored car here for Daytona, but Sustre behind the wheel of the number 5, and was pretty good in Group 1. Finished 4th quickest in that group. So we'll see how they go. This is one of the new teams on the grid. The first new team we've seen on the grid. Davenport Performance Racing. Charlie Davenport, race winner as a driver last year for the first time at Auto Club, becomes a team owner with Toyota. And geez, this is a good start here, Trajan. He's already up to 180. You haven't even got to the start-finish line yet.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how Davenport Performance does throughout the year. Definitely, starting it off on a high note if they get a good qualifying spot. We'll definitely see if Davenport will, his race-winning expertise can correlate into a team that does well.
And the thing we got to remember with Sustre as well, when he was driving for Fitzwater Australia Racing in the 59 last year, he actually qualified quite well here in this session as well, and then ended up racing his way in. Had a very, didn't have a great season, 39th in the points, hoping for a better run this time. Looks like he's going to put himself right up in and around the top 5, I reckon. 187, a 48.523, not quite inside the top 5. He goes 6th quickest. That is a very good time, though, for Kyler Sustre. That could well be enough to get him into the Daytona 500. Here comes Logan Williams here in the 33. He is locked into the 500, but was the slowest car in practice across the 2 sessions. In fact, his time in the practice session was slower than the time he set in single car qualifying last year that got him on the front row, which is it just kind of goes to show that the conditions and the cars themselves are pretty different to what they were last year. But Logan, in his now 3rd season, he returns to his brother's team, Andrew Williams, the owner of Team Williams. And these guys were very fast in qualifying last year with Koshma and Williams locking out the front row. Koshma, as it currently stands, inside the top 10. So decent showing so far. And let's see what Logan Williams could do here in this number 33 here. Tyson's going to be a very interesting lap.
Absolutely. And Logan is a very quiet but quick competitor. And he's had some speed here at Daytona, going back to his brother's team with the Culver's livery. I don't think you can get much more Wisconsin than a Wisconsin fast food with a Wisconsin driver in a Wisconsin team. So this 33 car not only is making me hungry, but they seem to be pretty quick flying down this back straightaway at 184 before having to lift just a little bit into this corner here. I don't know. We'll see. Logan definitely, he needs some luck. That's for sure.
Oh, you could agree with that. No doubt about that. He definitely needs a bit of luck. 186, can't quite get to 187. And he just, he's right there with his teammate Leonard Koshma. Just barely bumps him out of the 10. So Williams goes 10th quickest with a 48.722. 3,000ths quicker than Koshma. So those two cars running very similarly. Good to see Williams up to speed as well after what happened in practice. Been a long way here for Carson Miller in the number 12, who was 2nd quickest in practice, not only in Group 1, but across the entire field of 50. He was the runner-up in the recent Budget Truck Series Championship, won at Charlotte, and his first Opportunity Cup car will be running a part-time schedule in this car this year as an owner-driver. 12 races for the number 12. After this, his next start will be Texas in about a month or so. So a little bit of a break for Carson, but geez, if you've seen Carson Miller in other series, you know he is a super driver, and someone that is capable of winning races. Even here in his own car, a new team, O2 Racing, is more than capable of going out and winning and putting this car up towards the front. The time he's got to keep an eye on here in this session as he gets to the line 180. Is the Kyler Sustre time, who, of course, is the only go-homer at the moment with a 48.523. Top 2 go-homers get their way into the race. So, Trajan, I know you'll be keeping an eye on the 12 and the rest of a lot of these cars still to come.
Yeah, I will. I mean, Carson Miller, did pretty well in practice, second. Not to mention, he's a rookie, too, so... Yeah, definitely going to keep an eye out for him. Let's see how well he does in qualifying.
This is going to be up and around the
the
top 10 as well.
500 too.
Yeah, this is going to be up in the top 10, I think. It's a pretty good lap here from Carson Miller. Let's see if he gets to 187. 187 is a good indicator if you're going to be around the mark. And he tickles it a little bit, and he goes 10th quickest. 48.718. So he bumps Logan Williams now out of the top 10 by 4 thousandths of a second. So it's a decent time, but he's ended up 2/10 behind Sustre. So it's a good lap for Sustre. And a bit of a nervous wait now for the number 12, Carson Miller.
Well, I can tell Miller is looking to impress this season, especially in the 500. I mean, all eyes are on the 500 especially, because that's one of the biggest races of the season.
Here comes Roberto Crown Jr. in the number 82 in another one of the go or go home cars for Hairgel Motorsports. So Hairgel Motorsports, they've got three cars locked in. This is the only one that needs to race or qualify its way in here. And, well, I was saying before, I had high hopes for Leonard Koshmer and what he was able to do potentially here in this session, and it's somewhat let me down. So we'll see how Roberto Crown does. Second year in a row that Crown is a go home driver here this year. Raced for Fitzwater Australia Racing, qualified pretty well from memory in this session last year. So in a car that's been pretty speedy so far. Monaco inside the top 10, Hubert in 13th. So let's see how he goes. Time to beat at the moment is a 48.718. Just set by Carson Miller. Tyson, this is going to be a very interesting lap.
I think so too. And honestly, I can't think of a racing series that doesn't have Roberto Crown Jr. racing in it. He is very well disciplined across all racing ventures, and sitting in this number 82 car, it's red, a little different than his normal blue, but I mean, I bet he's just happy to be going fast around a racetrack here. This 82 car, this whole team really has shown speed. And Stuart, honestly, if I were to place a bet on one of these go or go home guys, Roberto Crown Jr., if he's not making it on speed, he's going to be racing his way in to the Daytona 500. He doesn't necessarily need this points buffer to lock his way in because he is a bad, fast race car driver. 187 across the line. That's going to be pretty good.
He got a great run through turn 4. Down the front he goes to the 6th position. He's right up there with a lot of the Nicotech cars, so that's a great lap from Crown. And right now, it is Crown and Sustre who are in the 500. Carson Miller will have to go through the duels to race his way in. Third and final Team Williams Dodge here for the night is Jack Haas in the 00, who did the opposite of what his two teammates did last year in this session and qualified horrifically. When Koshman and Logan Williams qualified in the front row, he qualified 38th. So we'll see here with the 00. Second at Talladega, though, last year. Nearly won it. Kelly Lee took it away right at the line. Finished 33rd in the points. Hoping for a much better campaign this year. Team Williams in general, you could say the same thing for. They've got two cars, 12th and 13th at the moment. So we'll see where they end up by the end of the night. Haas is locked into the 500. He's got nothing to worry about in terms of having to race his way in. But he's had a good outlap here. This is going to be an interesting lap, Trajan. 181 across the line. That's a good start for him.
Yeah, very good start. Jack Haas, I mean, he's clearly trying to, best his teammates, what his teammates have qualified. Well, not bad. I mean, when you go out to qualify, you're always in the pole is in mind, but if you can't get the pole, you try to get a top 10. Originally, both Team Williams drivers were top 10, but as more and more drivers qualified, they're getting pushed further and further down the list. And I think that's probably going to continue throughout the night. So Jack Haas is definitely looking to put his name on the top in terms of Williams drivers.
This is going to be right. This is going to be right up here. This is going to be a good lap. 88 at the line and a 48.442. Third quickest for Jack Haas. Not quite the front row. Very, very close. But he breaks up those three Nicotech cars at the front.
Wow.
He goes third fastest. That's a great lap from Jack Haas. And that's going to put him in good stead for the 500. Well, this guy's had a very good 2026 in other series, and he had a pretty good run when he got the opportunity last year, late in the season, to drive for Velocitar Tyler Jericho. 9 races made and 10 attempts, finished in the top 5 twice, and had 4 top 10s. Had a great run, got himself the opportunity now to drive a number that means a lot to him, a car that means a lot to him, here in this number 54. And reminiscent of the old Kyle Busch Motorsports car. And then, which of course became Joe Gibbs Racing. Big fan of Kyle Busch. We know about the tragedy that was his passing. He's hoping to run well here at Daytona. And Velocitar, on the other hand, they were very, very disappointing in practice. They were 46th and 48th with the 2 cars. So they're hoping for a much better run as it comes down to the line. 180 here to start the lap. So we'll see where Tyler Jericho ends up here, Tyson.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're going to be running a Monster 54, no better way than to honor Kyle than running up front. And Tyler Jericho got the opportunity last season and really impressed me. I believe he reached out to me for a seat, and if I hadn't had Jerry waiting in the wings, that I would have happily brought him aboard. But no doubt in my mind that I think Tyler is going to not only succeed, but I think he's going to succeed not only in his own terms. He probably wants a couple top 10s, top 15s, make every single race. I think he could possibly compete for some wins at some unexpected tracks. He's going to come across the line looking pretty okay for his first Daytona 500 qualifying.
Yep, 48.847. So that one is 21st quickest for Jericho. A little bit more promise than what he showed in practice, at least. So that's a sign for the 54 team, something to work with going to the rest of the speed, which he's locked into the 500, so he's got nothing to worry about. But we'll see how the 54 goes throughout the season. Now we're getting into the real nitty-gritty, because we've seen a lot of the drivers that are already locked in. We've seen a few of the go-homers. We've only seen 3 so far, but the back end of this session, predominantly go-home drivers. Carson Green here at the number 40 showed a lot of speed in practice. He was pretty impressive in my opinion. 7th quickest for Mateus Bento Racing. First time we've seen any of their cars on track here tonight. And we'll see how Carson Green fares. The time to beat is not an easy time to beat, it should be said. A 48.523 set by Kyler Sustre. So if he is going to make his way to the 500 tonight, he's going to have to put together a really strong lap here, Trajan. Because those times right now set by Crown and Sustre, they've been very, very impressive. But let's see how the number 40 does here on this lap.
Yes, indeed, very impressive. Carson Green, rookie, first time in a Gratton Cup series, and he's also the first of the Bento guys out here. So we'll have to see how he does. 184, so far compared to the other drivers heading for that turn, I'd say it's average. Let's see what he gets up to in the backstretch.
184 here at the moment. Dropping down to
Yeah,
183.
I don't think he's quite gonna reach Crown Jr. or Sustre, but I think he's still got a good chance of making it in.
Let's see, he's 184, 185. Of course, we saw with Sustre and Crown, they were both able to get to 187. We're not going to see that here. It's a 48.783, so he's the slowest of the go-homers at the moment and 17th quickest overall. So that's not bad. 17th quickest. Still ended up ahead of a lot of pretty fast cars, but he will have to race his way in through the duels on Thursday. Nicholas Samudio is in the 19 this year for another new team that we're seeing for the first time, Big Motorsports. And this is a team that got some expectations, I think, placed upon them. Aaron Luke's the team owner, and they've got a very interesting driver lineup. So they've got Samudio, who raced last year, didn't have a great season. He finished 34th in the points. Did finish in the top 5 at Indianapolis, but otherwise had a rough campaign for Seminole Motors. But moves across to this new team this year, and he's got 2 pretty good teammates as well, Bernardi Oliveira and Joe Rutkowski, still to come here in this session. So we'll see where this 19 ends up. Samudio's looked fairly solid. He was around mid-pack across the combined sessions, but he doesn't even get to 180 here at the Lone Trajan, so that's not a great start, unfortunately. Gets to 183 through turn 1. So, yeah, we'll see where he ends up here, but this is not going to quite be on the same level that we've seen from Sustray at Crown, right now holding those 2 positions. Samudio down the back. Internet's gone out, which is good. Fix that quickly. We'll get those guys back online here shortly. But Nicholas Samudio in this number 19. He's going to round the final turn, and we'll see where he ends up in the grand scheme of things. 185. Can he get to 186? Yes, he can, but not a great lap, unfortunately. 48.955. That does make him the slowest of the go homers. It puts him 27th quickest overall, unfortunately. So a bit of work for the 19 to do. Evans Ross Racing's second car for the evening is Eli Fondati here in the 09. And Fondati, this team, got a bit of work to do, I think. They were 42nd in practice, so a bit of work for these drivers to do. Duncan Ward at the moment in 93, teammates, currently 25th. So we'll see with Fondati, another rookie to the series, and a bit of an unknown for mine. One of the few real unknowns going into this season in terms of the driver, but we'll see how Fondati goes. And Trajan, this car is locked in, so nothing to worry about there for her, but what do you expect to see from this lap?
Well, I mean, expectations haven't been set high for Evans Ross Racing so far. I mean, Duncan Ward did mediocre in practice, and he ended up qualifying so far 25th. I think the goal for Fondati is to get a semi-decent spot, but also, I mean, she didn't do the best in practice, 42nd, and well, since she's a rookie, we got no real past experience to back, her performance up. So it's just kind of one of those cases where we'll just see as we go along. But she's gonna finish her lap at 185, 96.
Yeah. And that is second to last, unfortunately, for Ali Fondati. So she goes to 32nd as a result. So a bit of work.
Rough.
Yeah, a bit of work for this 09 team to do for the 500. She is locked in, so nothing to worry about, but we've got a bit of work to do. Well, Trajan, this is one of your 2 cars that will be attempting the Daytona 500, attempting every race this year. Imperial Motorsports and Josh Williamson, who, as said at the practice session, is a really talented driver. Didn't have a great year last year driving for Full Frontal Motorsports. Finished 12th at Watkins Glen. That was the high point, not only for Josh, but for that team. That was their only top 20 finish of the year. So they had a very rough year. But Josh was very, very strong in the GRL, driving for Pacific Racing. Got a win in Indianapolis, 4th in the championship there. Second season for the driver now, the 17. And I know you're very interested, Trajan, and got a vested interest to see how this car does here in this session.
Oh yeah, very. As you know, Imperial is a new team, so the expectations for the season, I mean, I'm not looking to blow the top off the season, win a championship. This is kind of a figuring things out, and hopefully we'll be good. Williamson did all right in practice, 17th. Hoping he'll do well, and well, let's just say I'm happy we were able to get Williamson on the team, because we had some last-minute roster moves to make due to the unexpected departure of the original driver on the 17. But I think Williamson's going to do well this year. Going to try to have the equipment there for him. But yeah, I'm very excited to see how well my team does this year.
Yeah, that one's not a good lap, unfortunately. 49.373, by far and away, unfortunately, last position for Josh Williamson. So he's got a bit of work to do. Almost 3/10 behind Dominic Anthony. So disappointing lap for Williamson, but as you said, was pretty good in practice. So we'll see how the 17 goes in the duels. We'll have to race his way in.
Yep. Oh, let's hope he does.
The first of two Durrani Racing forwards here tonight, Emily York Watson, in this number 78, another rookie and another car that'll need to race its way in or qualify its way in here tonight. But it's going to be hard to beat those times that were set by Crown and Sastre. The 48.523 has held itself very, very well for Sastre, and of course Crown currently 7th with a 48.499. So those two right now, well, it's not a guarantee that they get in, but they're looking good at the moment. So York Watson comes into this series with this new team, Durrani Racing, who raced in the SRL 3 years ago, but haven't been seen until now. Since then, in this on the channel. But Tyson, it's going to be a very interesting lap here for York Watson, who for a lot of certainly Group 2 was very, very racy in very, very quick in that Group 2 session.
Absolutely, and you saw a lot of drafting practice and with a lot of these go or go home people, and additionally, what I noticed was all the people that are new here at Daytona haven't really had that new driver jitter. They kind of jumped right into it, almost a little too aggressive for my liking for a practice. Obviously, I'm the team owner side. I don't want to wreck anything. I don't want to see any junked cars. Daytona is always our most expensive weekend of the year, but especially with Emily York Watson, they've kind of come in here with no fear. And I think this 78, while it doesn't look like it's tracking to be a phenomenal lap, I think they'll definitely be pretty racy throughout the duels. And if they make the show, Daytona does like those new teams, new drivers. Not a phenomenal lap, but it's really going to be a dogfight now with these go or go home and new teams coming in.
Indeed. So second to last, unfortunately, for Emily York Watson, a 49.297. So, which is a surprise because she was pretty good in practice. So, car clearly not set up for single car runs, but we'll see her in the duel and we'll see if she can race her way into the Daytona 500. Alex Vitale here in the number 37 for Hair Gel Motorsports. This car is locked into the 500, so he's got nothing to worry about, but he is one of the last of the guys that's already locked in, one of the drivers, and I think there's a level of irony in this. He's driving the 37, he finished 37th in the points last year and finished 37th in combined times in practice. So lots of 37s, but he'd rather be up towards the front a bit more this year compared to last year. Trajan, I mean, what do you think you're going to see from the 37? Because we've seen Crown currently top 10, Monaco 11th, Hubert 15th. These cars have looked pretty decent so far.
Yeah, they have. I don't know. I still think San Vitale will be able to get a top 10 in terms of like qualifying, but I don't think he'll be too far back, kind of mid-pack when it comes to qualifying. But it's also a nice safety net for him that he gets to make it in to the 500, no matter where he ends up qualifying.
Absolutely, and he finished 7th in the 500 last year as well. So, as I said,
wow.
these cars ran very well at Daytona last year in race pace, and they look good in qualifying. I don't know where this is going to end up, actually. We'll see. Can he get...
Me
neither. 186.
186.
48.854. 22nd for Alex Sanvitali. So he's the slowest of the four hair gel cars. But even then, it's not too bad. It's okay. He's locked into the 500, so that's good news for him. And we'll see if he can make any ground in the duels and then the 500. The third and final of the Evans Ross Fort here in this session is another rookie in Miles Inamatsu in the number 91. This car was the 18 last year, which was driven by Bryce Egan for much of the year, and then got suspended late in the season. Evans Ross herself, Echo Evans Ross, had to take over this car for the last 4 races. But Inamatsu now the full-time driver in this car in the 91, and raced in the Truck Series for Rayumi, but did not have a great season, I think it'd be fair to say. To be fair, Rayumi were terrible across the board, but we'll see how Inamatsu here. We'll see how he goes here in this lap. 177, 178, and yeah, we'll see where he ends up here, Tyson. But not a great start to his lap.
Yeah, absolutely. I would expect a lot more pace, especially out of a car that's a number 91. But here, they are locked in, correct?
Yes, they are locked in.
I heard you. Okay. So locked into the show. So really, if you're not unloading with this amount of speed and you are locked in, it's a really relatively low stress environment until you get to the duels and you don't have speed. That's when the real concerns start coming to pop up. However, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to have to fight and work your way through the field through the duels. The only issue is, I think, where they're going to end up qualifying. It's going to be back up with the people that have to make the show, and it's going to be real dicey back there, to say the least.
Yeah, Matsu's actually the last car. He's qualified 37th, unfortunately, right there. So he's slower than Josh Williamson. So, yeah, a lot of work for the 91 team to do. A lot of work for them to work through. But of course, they are locked into the 500. They've got nothing to worry about in that regard. But a bit of work for these guys to do before the 500, before the duels as well. Very familiar looking scheme here for this car. Number 88. It was driven by Tim Simmons. Budweiser car. Of course, this one is a throwback to the Dale Jr. winning car in 2004, the Daytona 500. So hoping to replicate that kind of success here with this lap. But here's another one of these cars that has to race his way in or qualify his way in. And in terms of Simmons, his teammate Carson Green is currently 17th. So it's got something to base himself off of. That time of Sustre, just Sustre even, is going to be pretty hard to beat based on what we've seen so far. But Simmons looks like he's got up to a decent start here in his outlap Trajan. Let's see how he goes. 180 at the line. So we'll see how this lap plays out for him.
Simmons is one of numerous rookies to, attempt here. This year's 500 has a pretty big field of rookies. Yeah. He did fine and practice 13th. Definitely hoping to do better than his teammate. He isn't really building up as much speed as most drivers have throughout the day, but he's not finished yet. He's just with 185. So where would that place him?
Place him in 29th, unfortunately, for him, so he'll have to race his way into the 500. It started off okay that lap, but pewtered away a bit as they went along. So Simmons, he's going to have to race his way into the 500 in the duels. Here is the most recent Cup Series winner, Brad Perez, in the number 11 this year for Team Velocista, moves over from Pacific Racing. As I said, most recent winner, won at Homestead in the finale. He won at North Wilkesboro a couple of races earlier for his first career win. Those guys found serious form at the end of the season. So the number 11 will be an interesting one to watch. He did not practice very well, Tyson. He was 48th at combined times and was third to last in Group 1. So we've seen Jericho go out. Jericho's actually done a decent enough job, 21st at the moment, but we'll see what Brain Perez can do on this lap.
Absolutely. And I mean, it is one thing to have race pace geared towards, drafting and whatnot, but not the greatest qualifying times for both of these cars. Really spells a bit of danger. Definitely having to go work overtime, work late into the garage hours here at Daytona. I've definitely seen those follower lights on late at night as we're leaving the track. So we've had a few of those nights before. Definitely season 2, season 4, season 5, really. We've had some late nights leading into speed weeks. But these guys have really been working hard, and it would be a shame to see the most recent winner in the series miss the Daytona 500. But like they say, that's just racing. Hopefully this will be a good time.
This is a good lap. 187. He is locked into the 500, so you don't have to worry about it. But that's a great lap anyway. 48.650. That's a very good lap. It actually puts him 10th. He's just knocked Jerry Chen out of the top 10. But a good lap there for Perez. Desperately needed, because that team just needs a little bit of momentum after what happened in practice. Good time, gets himself up to 10th for our most recent winner, Braden Perez. First time we have seen the Mahindra Motorsport cars out here tonight. This is the number 6 of Nathan Morgan. Another one of the Goa homers that will need to make their way in. Out of the remaining 11 cars, only Zyla Burton in the 59 is locked in. So the rest of these guys have to race their way in. Will qualify their way in here in this session. Car number 6, Nathan Morgan. Will be an interesting watch this year with Mahindra Motorsports, because talked about in practice, they are very strong in other series. And we'll see how Morgan goes. Winhager on this car, Trajan. I know you're keeping an eye out, because you've still got one car, of course, to go out on track. But how do you think the 6 is going to perform here on this lap?
I think the 6. It's Morgan's first year on the Gratton Cup, so we don't really how well he typically does on super speedways or Daytona, for that matter. He did finish in a respectable 18th in practice, but as we've seen, practice doesn't really mean too much, because a guy like Logan Williams, who finished dead last in practice, ended up qualifying like 14th. So, but Morgan seems a little slower than a ton of cars so far, but wow. He was able to pick up a good bit of speed coming out of turn 4.
It's going to be close. Let's see it.
Oh,
good time. 48.602. Unfortunately, not enough to get him in tonight. He'll have to go through the duels. But that is as close as anybody has gotten to Sastre for that second position. Second go home spot. Good lap for Morgan, and they'll please them. They'll please them there at Mahindra Motorsports. They've got some speed to work with for the duels, and a promising start for the number 6. Here's the final veteran or returning driver to the series on the track here tonight, Alejandro Cruz Jr. in the number 29 for O2 Racing. So we saw Carson Miller put together a decent enough lap time, not enough obviously to lock himself in, but Alejandro Cruz, who raced last year, very limited. He only made 12 starts in 30 attempts for the now defunct and probably one of the worst cars that I've ever put together on a racetrack, Monkey Racing. But this 29 car, we'll see how he goes, because this is probably an upgrade in terms of equipment for Alejandro. He'll be hoping to have a much better season than he had last year, Tyson.
Absolutely hope so. That season was not phenomenal, to put it lightly, but I will say, new team, new season, everybody is coming in with a fresh new mindset, and especially coming into Daytona here. He made 12 races last season, which isn't the worst thing in the world. In all honesty, 12 is better than 0. So hopefully we can keep a little bit of that positive momentum going into this year, as roaring down the back straightaway, that number 29 car. And honestly, not looking actually, I was going to say not looking the fastest, but that Prize Picks 29 is looking pretty decent. It was 184 at the end of the back straightaway.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I don't know. I don't think he's going to beat Nathan Morgan's time from just a moment ago, but we'll see where he ends up here.
So, no.
It might be along where his teammate is and team owner in Carson Miller. He's actually a bit further back than I thought. 48.880 for Alejandro Cruz. And he will have to race his way into the 500. He is 27th at the moment. So in between some pretty good cars, it should be said, between Rogers and Bright. But still, a bit of work for the 29 to do if he wants to make his second consecutive Daytona 500. The second of 3 big motorsport cars are on track. And this is one of the more interesting rookie stories. Joe Rutkowski has actually made 5 attempts previously, back in Season 3 for Team Hanley. Made 3 races, best finish of 8th at Richmond. But it's been a long time for this 83. Been a long time, of course. 2017 was Season 3, so it's been nearly 10 years since Joe Rutkowski raced on the channel. But here he is, he's back at ready to roll in a very familiar looking race car, the Caterpillar Dodge, for Aaron Luke's team, Big Motorsports. We saw Samudio before. He'll have to race his way in via the duels, 31st quickest at the moment. But we'll see where Rutkowski ends up Trajan. This is going to be a very interesting driver and a very interesting lap.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think so too. Rutkowski, I mean, he's back. I mean, he ran a few, as you said, few starts almost 10 years ago, but I'm very curious to see what he does. 'Cause, I mean, we're running new cars, and shoot, it's been a while. He was middle of the pack during practice, uh, finishing 21st. But I'm very interested to see how he does. Do you remember what races he ran in back in season 3?
Bristol and both Richmond races he was able to make that year.
Hey, wow, so this is his first super speedway start.
Indeed, first attempt. He's got to make his way in via the duels, unfortunately. 48.833 for Rutkowski. It's not a bad time, though. He goes ahead of his good mate Tyler Jericho. He goes to 23rd, so right around the mid-pack for Rutkowski. He'll have to race his way in via the duels on Thursday. Well, I know this man is very excited about the opportunity to drive this number 4 this year, Avery Alford. In the second of the Davenport Performance Cars, we saw Kyler Sustre lay down an excellent lap. And if Avery Alford is to make this 500 tonight, he's going to have to bump him out. But given that he's driving the same equipment, it seems like certainly a possibility here for Alford. But we'll see how he goes in this number 4. It's 23rd quickest in total in practice. And he was a part of that Group 2 hodgepodge of drivers. So let's see how he goes in this Gamebridge Toyota for Charlie Davenport's team, Davenport Performance Racing. Tyson, it's going to be another interesting lap. Let's see, he gets to 180 across the line. Not quite. So not a great start of the lap, unfortunately, for Alford.
Yeah, he's going to have to pick up the pace here, especially. But again, I would say he wasn't one of the main perpetrators that was in that hodgepodge, but certainly one of the guys that I was listening to the radio of just to hear the emotions of what all the drivers were saying during the session, as people were saying, for practice too. But he's a good driver. I think he should have some promise this season. Haven't read up too much about him, but seeing he's driving what should be a fast race car, I would have to imagine that if he doesn't qualify his way in on time, he's absolutely going to have a decent car in the duels.
This one's not going to be good enough to get him in here tonight, unfortunately. 48.968. And that puts him in the 34th position, so right behind Tim Simmons and ahead of Alexander Rowe. So, unfortunate, not a great lap for Alford. He's over 4/10 behind Kyler Sustre, so big discrepancy there. But Alford will go to the duels with the hopes of making the Daytona 500. Well, we saw Nathan Morgan run a pretty good lap earlier on. He's currently 10th. This is his teammate, Sarah Taylor. Apologies. Sarah Taylor. Apologise to Sarah. But she's at kind of a 60 for Mahindra Motorsports. Has driven for Mahindra Motorsports in the Wild Cup. So he's got a win at Willow Springs, actually. But this is a rookie. This is a rookie team. We saw Morgan put together a good lap before Trajan. So what do you think we're going to see from the number 60 here? It's got to beat that time, and it's stood the test of time so far, Kyler Sustre. What do you think Taylor's got a chance here in this one?
Well, it's always good to be optimistic. I think Sarah's got a good chance of it. I mean, practice-wise, 24th, so not too bad. Middle of the field. She showed some she showed some promise at Willow Springs. But yeah, I'm very interested to see how she does. It's going to be pretty tough to beat the high water mark set by Sestrai and Aaron Jr.
She's 185 down the back. This is a very good lap. This is at least going to challenge Sustray's time. This is going to end up. This is going to be right up there. This is a very good lap from Sarah Taylor. Can she do it? Can she knock Sustre out of that the two positions for the go home? As here we go, 188 across the line, 48.414. Sarah Taylor has jumped to third overall and is in
That's
position to
crazy.
make the Daytona 500 tonight. Great lap from the number 60. How about Sarah Taylor, and bumps Kyla Sustre out? And Sustre will have to race his way into the 500. So it is now Taylor and Crown, the two drivers in position to make the Daytona 500 tonight.
I felt like Taylor might do well, but man, that third was, I mean, for me, unexpected.
Zyla Burton in the 59 is the last of the drivers that is already locked into the 500. So he's got nothing to worry about here in terms of speed. But if his teammates any indication, we might see a pretty good lap here from Burton. Parrish currently still in the 6th position, so that time is held up beautifully for Parrish. But Zyla Burton, second Fitzwater Ford for the season, and we'll see where he ends up. But how about that lap from Sarah Taylor just a moment ago? Put herself up into 3rd position here in this 500, in position to make the 500. That is a great lap, but it makes it a bit nervous now for Roberto Crown, who's that car on the bubble in terms of the go-homers. So let's see how Burton does, Trajan. This is going to be a very interesting lap.
Yeah, definitely. Burton didn't do too well in practice, finishing 36. But I think it's reasonable to think that Burton will do well. His teammates have done well so far, with Parrish getting in the top 10, 6 to be exact.
Yeah, this is a decent start as well. 184
Yeah.
wasn't quite the 185 we just saw from Taylor, but this is a good lap still for Burton. So we'll see where he ends up in the grand scheme of things. At Fitzwater, they've got this qualifying thing down pat. They qualified very well here last year as well. 187. This is a good lap for Burton. Let's see where he puts himself. 48.553. That is a very good lap. That puts him currently in the 10th position. So great start for the Fitzwater Australia Racing. 2 cars inside the top 10 here in qualifying. Zyla Burton with a nice lap there to get himself to 10th. We are down to the final 5 cars here in single car qualifying. Thanks for joining us tonight. Been a long session, of course, but it's been very, very fun. And now we get to the real, well, nail-biting moments. If you're a Roberto Crown and Sarah Taylor right now, you are currently in position to make the 500, but you've got 5 cars that are looking to knock you off the purchase. As OS Joshi here in car number 3. What a great, I mean, this is a classic, of course, this Wrangler car for Mateus Bento Racing this year, Tyson. This is a beautiful looking race car. We've seen mixed fortunes so far for Mateus Bento Racing. Casa Grant's 21st, Tim Simmons in 35th. What do you expect to see from the 3?
I mean, if it's any indication, just based off the paint scheme alone, we should be seeing this old boy go top of the charts. But I think this old 3 car, it hasn't been too terrible throughout the whole weekend of speed weeks here. They did pretty okay in practice, and they also it seemed like they unloaded pretty well with no issues whatsoever. They looked really good drafting wise. I think that was their biggest thing, was that they were able to make some moves through the draft, not really speed wise, but mostly performance wise. I think they would be pretty good on the long run. Not sure how this qualifying run's going to end out. I mean, this backstretch has been pretty deceiving. It's mostly but through 3 and 4. 182, we could see about a 186, maybe a 187. But I think this is going to slot them in pretty good for the duels. 185, not even 185. Wow. Oh, wow. They did not get the run out of turn 4 that I was expecting them to. 49.08. So that's going to be pretty deep in the duels.
Yeah, 37th, unfortunately, for OS Joshi. So the slowest of the 3 Mateus Bento Racing cars. And all 3 of them will have to race their way into the 500 on Thursday. So a bit of work for them to do. But we'll see what this number 3 can do in the duels. Bernardo de Oliveira in the number 38 in the final of the Big Motorsport Dodgers here in this session. A bit of pressure, I would imagine, for this car at Aaron Lukes and this team. Both cars at the moment, both Samudio and Rutkowski, not quite in position, of course, to make the 500 as of right now. And again, it's going to be hard to beat those times that we've seen from Taylor. Taylor in particular, I reckon Taylor's just about safe with that time. The third quickest is very impressive. Where it gets interesting is with Crown with that 48.499. So you've got to get sub 48.5 to put yourself in the 500 if you're Bernardo de Oliveira here. Let's see. It's going to get to 180 before the tri-oval. This is going to be an interesting lap here, Tyson. This might get himself into position here, de Oliveira.
I think so. And honestly, you've got to really think about this Dodge. This Dodge power, how well they've been doing. It's been a lot of hits or misses with these Dodges, especially. But now that they don't have Fitzwater Australia Racing, as we've mentioned earlier, they've moved on to Ford. I would have to imagine their resources are a little more spread out without having that top super high championship caliber team. And I think this makes an entry like de Oliveira really intriguing to see, as he's going 183, could possibly hit 186, 184 coming out. Gaining some speed coming out of turn 4 might hit 187. This might be pretty close.
Oh, it's close. Oh, just 48.675 for de Oliveira. So it's an okay time. He's gone 14th in the end. So that's not a bad time for de Oliveira. By far and away the fastest of his 3 big motorsport cars, but he will have to race his way in via the duels as well. We're down to our last 3. Up next is Nathan Meyer in the 42. Nathan Meyer in the third of 3 Mahindra Motorsport cars here in this session, and we've seen great times from both of his teammates. Sarah Taylor, of course, third quickest overall and in position right now to make the 500. Nathan Morgan is currently 12th quickest and the 4th highest of the Go-Go-Homers Trajan. This is going to be a very interesting watch because the 6 and the 60 have been very fast. How will the 42 fare here in this session?
I think the 42 will do well. I think Mahindra so far has done pretty good, and as I've seen, and I feel like it's definitely been a huge factor in this qualifying so far. I feel like teams, for the most part, usually their qualifying spots are kind of like bunched up. Isn't the case for every team, but so far I feel like that's a pattern we've seen. So, not too sure Meyer will best Taylor's time, but I would not be surprised of a sub 15th spot here.
It's down to 182 into turn 3. I don't think this is going to be enough, unfortunately, for Meyer to make his way into the 500 tonight. But these cars clearly have a bit of speed about them in comparison to some of the other Go Home teams. 186, might get to 187. 48.839. So right in around the mid-pack, right with Joe Rakowski at the moment in 27th for Nathan Meyer. And so he will have to race his way into the Daytona 500 on Thursday. We've got 2 cars left here in this session. Next up is Leland Hill in the number 70. Leland Hill in the number 70 is the second to last car to go out, and we are getting to the stage where we're about to lock a driver into the 500. Time to beat for Leland Hill here is a 48.499 set by Roberto Crown. And if she could go a 48.413 or quicker, that'll be enough to lock herself in. Otherwise, Sarah Taylor will be locked into the 500. So this is your second car, Trajan. It wasn't a great lap, unfortunately, for Josh Williamson, but what do you think? Is there a chance that the 70 can get in here tonight?
Well, I certainly hope so. I mean, I am the team owner, so I might be a little biased when I say this. But yeah, I mean, I think Nell has it in her to potentially qualify her way into the 500 without racing in the duels. Not too stellar of a performance during practice, finishing 41st, which isn't the best, but practice doesn't matter in qualifying.
Absolutely. 182 down the back, so it's going to have to pick up a lot of speed here if she's going to be able to top Roberto Crown. Yeah, 181.
Off to a good start.
Yeah. It does not looking good, unfortunately, here for Leland Hill. It looks like both of your cars, unfortunately, Trajan, will have to race their way via the duels. Looking good here for Sarah Taylor and Mahindra Motorsports as Leland Hill comes to the line, a 49.128. So it goes in the end to 46th for Leland Hill. So a lot of work for you guys to do. But Sarah Taylor
Yep.
has qualified for the Daytona 500 in car number 60. Mahindra Motorsports will start right up towards the front in the duel as well. Impressive session from those guys, but we've got one car left. Will Roberto Crown race their way in, or will it be Patrick Raven in the 86? And here we go for the final car here in single car qualifying. Thanks for sticking around for this evening. It's been a long session, but we're down to the final driver, and it's Patrick Raven for Durrani Racing. We do know a couple things. So Sarah Taylor is locked into the 500. We know that. Brandon Bent will start on the front row no matter what happens. It's all about whether or not he wins the pole at the moment, which is something that we've kind of haven't really talked about as of late. But Brandon Bent, Max Davis. So Davis looking to hold that second spot on the front row, and Roberto Crown looking to hold that second go home spot. Tyson, Patrick Raven in the 86 for Durrani Racing. What do you think? Do you reckon he has a chance of knocking off Crown? It's going to take a lot, but we'll see what the 86 can do.
I think if it were anybody, Daytona does love a storyline, and it would be this last car. Doesn't seem to have the speed quite so far, but I mean, hopefully we can at least see a little bit of drama. I mean, we already have front row drama. Brandon Bent on the pole after we just said Daytona's been so elusive to him in qualifying, starting on the front row, switching over to the new team, one of the best drivers in the series. But here we are. All eyes are on the back straightaway as here comes Patrick Raven through 3 and 4, the final time that we're going to see one of these cars go through Daytona. It's looking not too shabby, but I think it's going to be Roberto Crown qualifying his way in.
Yep, I think Crown's got it. Patrick Raven through the tri-oval. Let's see where he ends up here at the 86, a 49.150. So he will start towards the rear of his duel. Brandon Bent has won the pole for the Daytona 500 in the number 27, his first start for Nicotech. And Roberto Crown is the second go-home driver to lock their way into the 500. So how about Hair Gel Motorsports will have 4 cars in the 500. Crown joins Taylor as the 2 drivers that will race their way into the Daytona 500. And Brandon Bent and Max Davis are Nicotech front row lockout here in qualifying. Final results here from single car qualifying at the Daytona International Speedway. And what a statement made by Brandon Bent. The Season 4 Daytona 500 champion will lead the field to green in the Season 7 Daytona 500. His first start for Nicotech. His first session. Well, it didn't go well in practice, but geez, he put it down here in single car qualifying. He'll be joined by his teammate, Max Davis. Davis to start on the outside of the front row for the 500. I think driver of the day has to go to Sarah Taylor to go third quickest in car number 60 to lock herself into the Daytona 500. Jack Haas, that's a great effort as well to be fourth. Nathan Smith rounds out the top 5. Will Parrish, Ludovic Charette. So all 4 Nicotech cars inside the top 7. And Roberto Crown barely in the end edges out Kyla Sastre for that final automatic spot in the Daytona 500. It was a quarter of a tenth the difference between Crown and Sastre. So Sastre will have to race his way in. He's got a decent start for his dual race. And then Zyler Burton rounds out the 10. You see the rest of the results. Tyson, I know you had a bit to say before. What a session it was. I didn't know it didn't go great for either of you guys, but it was a very fascinating session nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just seeing Sarah Taylor in her first ever qualifying session here in Gratton, the Gratton Cup Series, being able to come out and start third in the Daytona 500, or be locked into the Daytona 500, starting second in her duel. That's a phenomenal result, and that's not to take away from all the other phenomenal rookies that we did have making their first start here at Daytona. But I mean, I can't speak enough about Brandon Bent. I mean, we were saying during his qualifying lap what a storyline it would be for him to qualify up front, qualify on the front row, and he did it in his first ever race here at Nicotech at a new team, bringing over the 27. One of the greatest drivers in the series. The storylines, I can just see them now. I can see the newspapers being printed here at the Daytona Beach Sentinel. It it was quite interesting to be holding the headset instead of sitting here waiting nervously on pit road to lay the hammer down. But I mean, it was a great session. Great to see from a new perspective. And Stuart, Trajan, great to have you guys up here in the booth. And Stuart, thanks for having me with you.
It was great to have you in the booth, Tyson. Trajan, quick final word from you. Big day on Thursday. 2 cars that we're hoping to make the Daytona 500 through the duels.
Well, as you could probably expect, a little nervous. I mean, it's just qualifying. They've got another chance to make it in, but I'm just hoping the performance of my cars in the qualifier isn't like a bad omen for the 500, but definitely hoping they end up making it in.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. You'll be seeing the starting lineup for the respective duels on your screens. At firstly, Duel 1 and then Duel 2. So, as mentioned before, Brandon Bent obviously will start on the pole for the 500. He'll lead Duel 1 to the green, and then Max Davis will start on the outside of the front row for the Daytona 500. He'll lead the field to green in Duel 2. And then, as you mentioned, Sarah Taylor, to qualify third here in this session, will start second for Duel 1. That's a very impressive effort, with Jack Haas in the 00 starting second outside the front row of Duel number 2. And you'll see those full starting lineups, of course. That race, or those races, the Kroger Duels, will be coming up in a couple of days' time, a few days' time. It'll be Thursday night, and it's going to be a very, very interesting race to see which drivers can make their way into the Daytona 500 and who will unfortunately be headed on home. So a lot to play out here still in Speed Week. But thank you so much for joining us here tonight. A big thank you, of course, to Tyson Gifford and Trajan Hawk, who were with me for the entire night here for Single Car Qualify. A big thank you to you boys. Great to have you on board, and looking forward to the duels on Thursday. So for Tyson Gifford and Trajan Hawk, Stuart Gratton signing off here from Daytona, and we'll see you on Thursday for the Kroger Duels.